making the ship move requires us to see how objects work. So we have to open the ship's object. Let's double click it and we're going to see this window. We're going to go back to the ship's object window. Now we have two fields here. We have an event panel and we have an actions panel. What are these things? Events are things that happen in a certain moment of time. So an event can be something like a street light closing, it could be a party starting, it could be a car turning up, for example. So things that happen in a certain moment of time. And actions are the things that happen in consequence of these events. So for example, when you turn the keys on your car, okay, that's an event. The action is going to be the car is going to start. Okay, the engines are going to start and you'll be able to drive. And that's how it works on games, for example. If you press the space button, then you're going to shoot a bullet. Okay, so that's action and reaction. Something happens and something else is going to happen because of that first thing. Okay, and this is how programming and gaming works. Okay, every time we're listening for events, for key presses, for mouse presses, for when you close a window, for when you resize a window, all of these are important events that happen all the time. Okay, so for making the ship move, we're going to click here on Add Event, and we're going to choose, we're going to select an event here. We're going to choose Keyboard, and then we're going to select Up. Okay, so this is an event for when you press the up arrow key, and this event is going to happen as long as you keep the up key down. Okay, as long as it is pressed. Okay, so as soon as you press the up key, this event is going to happen, and on every frame, so every time your game is processed, every time your room is processed and your ship is in that room, that event is going to keep happening, okay, all the time. Now, we have different things that we can use here, different actions that we can use for making that ship move, okay? You can make entire games in GameMaker just by using these actions, but we're going to choose code. Okay, we're going to write some lines of code, some very easy lines. You don't have to worry about that. Because with code, we have more flexibility to improve our game, to make more complex logics, things that the default actions can't do, but you can still use them. Anyway, what we're going to do is we're going to select this execute code icon here. We're going to click and drag it to the actions panel. We just drop it anywhere here. And as soon as we do this, we're going to see this window here where we are able to write any logic we want. So first of all, it is interesting to learn what comments are. In programming, when you type two slashes one after the other, that means you're writing a comment, and this is something that is not going to affect how your code works at all. Okay, this is not going to change any processing logic. It's not going to make the game slower or to make faster. It is not even going to be taken into consideration by the compiler. However, comments are very important because you're going to explain what you're doing. Okay, so this is going to help you in the future if you go back to this game and you want to understand whatever is happening, or other people who are working with you. It could be programmers, artists, game designers. So it is important to explain what you're doing. This is very good practice. So what we're going to type here is moving the ship up. Okay, so let's keep it that way. Now, let me draw a little thing here. So imagine our ship is this sphere here. Okay, and we have a coordinate system here. In computers in general, you see coordinate systems everywhere. And in GameMaker, there are two arrows. We have an X one and a Y one. So the X one represents the horizontal axis, and so from left to right. And the Y is the vertical axis from the top to the bottom. Okay, so everything you see here is in different positions. So this ship could be in a position, so just to make sure you understand that, they are in a certain position that could be, for example, 50 on X and 40 on Y. These are the coordinates of the ship. Okay, so 50, 40. And to make a ship move, you can change the X and Y values of the ship directly. Okay, you can change whatever you have here, so you can force the X to be 55, and then the ship is going to move a bit to the right, and then you use 60, so it moves a bit more to the right. But in GameMaker we have kind of an invisible arrow coming outside of each object that starts pointing to the right. This is the direction of the ship. Okay, and that direction represents where the object is facing, and it starts to the right. And there is a variable here. Okay, I'm going to explain what variables are shortly, but there is a variable here that it is called speed. Okay, it's something that every object contains, and you can change that speed to make the ship move to the right. Okay, the thing is, we don't want the ship to move to the right. We want to make the ship move to the top as we are pressing the up key. Okay, so what we need to do is we need to set the direction to be pointing up so we can still use the speed. And how do we do this? Imagine you have a circle around the ship, okay, and this point of the circle here is 0, right? This point here on the top is 90. We're using only numbers here. On the left we have 180. On the bottom we have 270, and 0 and 360 are the same thing. These are Euler angles. Okay, these are angles. This is a numerical representation of angles here. So we're going to use that to do this. Now, to make the ship move up, we need to set the direction to be 90, so it points upwards. If we want to make the ship move down, we need to set the direction to be 270. So let's go ahead and do this. Here we're say moving the ship up. Let's add a few new lines here, and we're going to type direction equals to 90. Now what happened here? Direction is a variable, and a variable is a position in memory where you are able to store stuff, basically. So that direction could be something, it's a certain position in memory, so it could be a very big and odd number like this. However, we can use names, okay? We can use human language to make things easier to memorize. And direction is something that is already provided by GameMaker. We don't have to create a direction variable. It already exists. When we use this equal sign here, it means we are making an assignment, okay? So after we are using the direction here and we put this equal sign, whatever comes to the right of that and before the semicolon is going to be stored in that variable. So we are storing the number 90, which is in this case 90 degrees, inside the direction variable. Okay, and the semicolons just to finish your statement. This is optional, but still other languages are not as how can I say menacing as GameMaker language. So sometimes you must use the semicolon after you finish a statement. So that's all we need here for the direction. And to make the ship move, we're going to use a very similar text like the one we just wrote. We're going to type speed and equals to something like 3, for example. All right, let's give this a try. We're going to click on run the game. We wait for the project to be saved, for the project to compile. If we have any code errors, you would see them by now. If I press the up key, then the ship starts drifting up. Okay, now try making the ship moving down when you press the down key. Try doing that by yourself here in the object. So pause the video right now and try to do this. Okay, to do that, you just click on Add Event, Keyboard, Down, and you're going to drag another piece of code here. So let's use our good practice and type move the ship down. Now I'm going to set direction is going to be 270 and speed is going to be 3. Okay, you don't have to use -3, for example. It would work if we kept the direction on 90, but still let's get used to use the direction and the speed variables. Okay, now if we press run the game, we wait for it to compile, and after our game runs, we should be able to move vertically to whatever position we want. So it's look like this. All right, now one detail here, actually two details, is our ship should be able to stop even though it is it is in space, it is a good design call to make the ship stop so you're able to have more precise shootings. And if the player leaves the screen up, it completely disappears. So what we can do is when the ship leaves the screen on this side, we teleport it to the bottom of the screen so it can continue moving, okay, to whatever you're going. So let's go to the ship object, and we're going to add two very important events. We're going to click on add event, we're going to add create, and then add event, step, and step again. These are the two most important events in game making in general, and the most used ones. The create event is called when your object is ready to be used. So when it is loaded in memory, when the image, the sprite has been loaded as well, when everything is ready, create is called. And step is called every time the room where the object is sitting at processes. So if the room runs at 60 frames per second, the step event of a ship inside that room is going to be called 60 times per second. Alright, so in the create event, let's drag an action here. We're going to drag this set friction action in GameMaker, and let's set that to 0.2. Then hit OK. This can be called in the create because this is basically setting a variable. And in the step event, we're going to use this one here, wrap screen. Okay, so that one here. I'm going to drag here, and as where it says direction, we're going to click here and choose vertical because our ship is going to wrap the screen only in the vertical direction. We hit OK now, and let's hit play. Let's wait now, and after a window opens, we should be able to test the friction and the teleporting, the wrapping logic. Okay, so if we release the keys, the ship smoothly stops, as you can see here, and if they leave the screen up, they go down, and if they leave down, they go up. Okay, so we have a basic moving ship here. All right, and in the next video, we're going to learn how to make the ship move to the right in an infinite motion. See you soon. To give an illusion of movement that the player is moving to the right, we're going to make a trick here. We're going to sort of make a parallax effect. It's not going to be a completely parallax one, but it's going to work more or less that way. Okay, so right now we have two visual elements in the screen. We have the background, which is our tile background of a few stars here, and we have our ship. So right now the ship isn't moving to the sides, okay? We just allow the ship to move upwards and downwards. But what about the background? What we want to do with that background is to make it move backwards. We want to make it move to the left, so it will look like as if the ship is moving to the right. Okay, and when we have enemies here, these enemies, they're going to spawn from this side of the window here, and they're going to be moving in the same direction as the background. Okay, they're going to move with a sort of negative speed. Okay, so they're going to move like this, and this will give a nice illusion of movement without having to make the ship actually move to the right. Okay, sometimes whenever you're making games, you have to think of tricks and techniques to give certain illusions. Okay, most of what you see in very advanced games, for example, so some reflections, some lighting effects, they are not working that perfectly. Sometimes you have tricks, you have shaders, you have techniques that make some things appear like they are one thing, but they are actually not. Okay, so let's learn how to do this. This is super simple in GameMaker. We're going to our room here, and we were on the Objects tab, so we have just to go to the Backgrounds tab where we added our background space here. So down here you have two fields. You have a horizontal speed and you have vertical speed. So in horizontal speed, we're simply going to set this as -1. Okay, so the background is going to move to the left. Okay, let's give this a try. We're going to click on Run the Game Now. We wait for the code to compile, and we should have an illusion that our ship is moving to the right. Okay, and there it is. right? So one thing that you might want to do here is maybe move the ship a bit more to the left, just so you can see the enemies that are going to come in and hit you a bit better. Okay, and then this should be it. Okay, let me just come here, move it to the left. Sometimes it's good to give a zoom just so you can select the ship better. And now what we're going to work with is making the ship shoot bullets. Okay, we're going to make some yellow pellets that the ship is going to shoot at the enemies that are going to come. Okay, so this gives a nice illusion that we're moving, but we're actually not. Okay, so in the next video, let's learn how to make these bullets. To shoot bullets, we have to make bullet sprites. So we're going to the sprites folder. Let's right click, select create sprite. We're going to name this SPR_bullet, and then click on edit sprite. Okay, we're going to create a new sprite by clicking in this white sheet of paper. The size of it's going to be 8 by 8. Okay, it's going to be very small, but it's going to look nice because these bullets are going to be very quick. We hit OK, we open the image, we give this a zoom, and I'm going to choose the ellipse tool and make sure you use outline and fill. I'm going to choose white as the outline and yellow as the fill, and to draw the ellipse you simply click on the top left and drag to the bottom right, so you have this bullet here. We're going to click on the green check mark to have our bullet here. Sometimes it is important to click on the center button, and we're going to do this for the bullet, and after that we just click OK. We now need to make a bullet object. Let's click on the objects folder, we right click, we select create object. This is going to be obj_bullet. In the sprite panel here we're going to choose SPR_bullet, so we have our bullet sprite. Now we hit OK to make it save. Right. Now, how do you make a bullet move to the right? Let's open the room here, and we're going to go to the Objects tab. We're going to choose the bullet object, and we're going to click. Okay, we're just going to add one single bullet here because we're going to use it for motion testing. So since bullets always move to the right in this game, okay, so the ship is always going to shoot them to the right. Everything we need to do is to set the speed, because the direction by default is already 0. So we just have to set a nice speed here. To do that, let's open the bullet. We click on add event, and we're going to simply use create. Okay, we don't need to use step because we won't add any friction to the bullet. We're going to the control tab, we drag this code here, and we're going to type speed equals to 6 and a semicolon. Okay, let's give this a try. We're going to click on run the game. So we wait for the code to compile, for the project to be saved, and after it is, you see that the bullet moves to the right. Okay, so this is looking nicer, the bullet. However, when we spawn several bullets and they leave the screen, the bullets will still exist, so it is important to clear the memory that was being used by these bullets. Let's click on that event, other, and outside room. So when the bullet can't be seen, when the bullet is outside the room, we're going to go to the main one tab, and we're going to drag this trash bin here, because that's going to destroy the instance of the bullet. Okay, so we made a simple bullet. The bullets moving into the right, they are destroyed whenever they leave the screen, and everything we need to do now is to make the ship actually shoot the bullets. Okay, of course bullets can't just stand here in the middle of nowhere and the ship isn't the one that is shooting them. Let's learn how to do this in the next lesson.